Hi, here is the Logic Solutions LLC. Today we will give you a presentation about applying a logical model to the Ministry of Education. We have analyzed the Ministry of Education situation and have found that your primary challenge is the lack of clarity in terms of outcomes and target goals. It makes it difficult for people to work together and improve the system of education in Brazil. We believe that your first step is to clarify your purpose and think through the short-term and long-term milestones, the activities and the resources you need to leverage your goals. Our tool, the Logic Model, will help you clarify the Ministry of Education's goals. Here's the agenda. We'll give you the definition of a logical goal, how to use and build a logic model, and applying the logic model to the Ministry of Education. What is a logic model? A logical model is a tool to help you lay out the program. It's a roadmap of your program and help the organization make sure what you want to achieve, what sorts of activities you want to do, and what sorts of resources you want to have. It also establishes a common understanding between your manager and your evaluator. It's an assessment tool to monitor and improving programming, and it's a way of making informed decisions as an organization and make sure the people work on the same page and then evaluate how they did it. Now I will introduce my colleague Trevor to give you more details about the component of the logical model.
In its most basic form, a logic model resembles a flowchart with 5 components sequenced together. Now the purpose of sequencing these components is to show how the various elements of your program lead into each other. In brief, the 5 components or stages of a logic model are resources, activities, outputs, outcomes, and impacts. The first component is resources. Resources are the assets that your organization can leverage towards the successful implementation of your programs. You can also think of resources as inputs or ingredients that help you realize your program goals. In the instance of the Ministry of Education, your resources might include funding, the expertise of your staff, or Minister Renato's good relationship with the President. Resources lead into activities. Now, as the name suggests, activities are the actions your organization can take to convert your resources into results. As an example, while there are many different forms an activity could take, for the Ministry of Education, one potential activity could be a continuing education program for primary school teachers. Now, activities lead to outputs. Outputs are the immediate, direct results of your activities. If you want to think about your outputs, it can be helpful to consider, what did my activities immediately accomplish? Now, if we have an activity that's a continuing education program for primary school teachers, an example of an output might be 300 primary school teachers in a particular state being exposed to new and improved educational techniques. The fourth component is outcomes. Now, outcomes are the changes or the effects brought about by outputs. Now, these changes can occur over varying time scales, but the important point is that these outcomes are the incremental effects or incremental changes that build toward your final program goal. Continuing with our example, if your output is a certain number of teachers being exposed to new educational techniques, a potential outcome would be improved student learning and classroom performance in the schools where those teachers worked. The final component of a logic model is the impact. Now, the impact is your organization's main goal. This is what you're striving to achieve. This is the long-term change that you really hope to accomplish. And everything in the previous 4 components of the logic model has been building toward the realization of this impact. To finish our example, if we have an outcome involving improved student learning and performance, perhaps the impact is higher literacy rates and better student preparedness to move on to secondary education amongst the students who were served by this program. Now, a point I want to make is that this is merely a basic bare bones design for a logic model. Now, in practice, you can consider how to adapt your logic model to your unique circumstances. Maybe some components need to have a great deal more information or detail, while other components can be left in a more basic format. You can also even consider constructing multiple logic models for different aspects of your program and then layering on top of each other. The point is, the logic model is a tool that you can adapt to fit your unique needs. And now, I'll introduce my colleague Rosa, who will go into some detail about how to use and build a logic model.
A logic model can be useful for a variety of reasons. First, it can be used to clarify the needs of your target community. It can also be used to link your resources to your impact. It is a critical tool in establishing a group process and shared understanding of your mission and vision. And it can be used to evaluate your organizational progress towards goals. A logic model, since it's so dynamic, can be used to adapt to changes in the organization and environment. And finally, it can be used to support marketing efforts by establishing clear communication goals and prioritizing your resources. In order to build a logic model, first identify the problem being addressed by your organization. Then consider the program theory and assumptions you're making as to why and how your organization can remedy this problem. It's important to define the desired impact. What are the large-scale systems-wide changes you want to see as a result of your organization's efforts? What are the outcomes and outputs that lead to this impact? It's important to account for the resources available to you, and equally important to consider the barriers and constraints that you face. Let's apply the logic framework to the Ministry of Education. First, we'll consider impact. A possible impact that you could have is that funding and programming is effectively allocated and designed to fit the specific needs of states and municipalities in Brazil. An outcome that could lead to this impact is the improved ability to monitor and track the performance of schools. An output that could lead to this outcome is that accurate, current, and comprehensive data on educational attainment is easily accessible to professionals within the Ministry of Education. An activity that could lead to this output would be finding and implementing an improved data management system and training all employees on how to use this new system. Now we'll consider our resources. We have political support, employees, and financial resources. Some barriers that we face are lack of technical expertise and equipment, and finite funds. Thank you very much for watching our presentation. We hope that you found it informative.
From all of us here at Logical Solutions, LLC, choose the logical way. Trust us, it works.